Bimbo dreamed of being free from her parents' rules and thought running away with her boyfriend Soji would bring her happiness and adventure. At first, it seemed exciting, but soon Bimbo realized that life outside her home was much harder than she expected. Soji's dangerous decisions began to cause big problems, and Bimbo had to face the truth. Now she must figure out how to fix everything before it's too late. Will she find a way out, or has she made a mistake she can't undo? Bimbo was only 21 years old and fresh out of university when she made the biggest decision of her life. She decided to run away from home. It was very early in the morning when the sun was just beginning to rise and everyone in her house was still asleep. She quietly packed a small bag with some clothes and tiptoed out of her family house in Ilorin, making sure not to wake anyone. Her heart was pounding with excitement as she left. Bimbo wasn't scared. She was happy. For years, her parents had controlled everything she did. They told her what school to go to, what kind of friends to have. They even had plans for her to marry a rich man they had approved of. But Bimbo had other plans. She had fallen in love with Soji, a man her parents didn't like at all. Soji wasn't rich or well educated like her parents wanted. He was a mechanic from Lagos, 8 years older than Bimbo, and he only worked in a small workshop fixing cars. He didn't wear any fancy clothes or have a big house, but Bimbo didn't care. Soji made her feel alive, free, and happy in a way she had never felt before. For months, they had been planning this escape. Now Bimbo was finally doing it. She was leaving her home and running away with Soji to start a new life. Bimbo hurried to the bus park, where Soji had promised to meet her. She could see him standing there, leaning against the wall, waiting for her with a very big smile on his face. "You are here," Soji said, looking happy and relieved. "I knew you wouldn't let me down." "I told you I was ready," Bimbo replied. "Let's go before anyone notices I'm gone." Soji gave her a quick hug, and together they boarded the bus to Lagos, the city where they would start their new life. Bimbo was excited. She was leaving behind the rules and restrictions of her family, and she was heading towards freedom, toward love, toward a life she had chosen. Lagos was nothing like Ilorin. The moment they stepped off the bus, the noise and the rush of the city surrounded them. Cars honked non-stop, street sellers shouted, and the air smelled like fried food and smoke. Bimbo had never seen anything like it, but she loved the excitement. Soji took her to a small apartment in a neighborhood called Surulere. The apartment was tiny, with cracked walls and a fan that didn't work properly. But Bimbo didn't mind. It wasn't fancy, but it was their place, and that made it special. Soji and Bimbo were happy. They explored the city together. They ate street food and talked about their dreams for the future. Soji worked long hours at the car repair shop, and Bimbo stayed home, trying to get used to the life in the busy city. Living in Lagos was harder than Bimbo had expected. Soji's job didn't pay very well, and it seemed like every day they were running out of money. The little apartment, which seemed charming at first, now felt cramped and uncomfortable. And even though Bimbo tried to find a job, she didn't have any experience, and no one wanted to hire her. One evening, Soji came home looking serious. He sat Bimbo down and took a deep breath. "Bimbo, things aren't going well. We need more money if we are going to survive here." Bimbo nodded, knowing he was right, but not sure what they could do. "There's something I can do to make quick money," Soji said, "but it's risky." "What do you mean? What kind of work?" Bimbo asked. Soji looked away for a moment. It's smuggling, moving goods across the border. It's not legal, but it pays a lot. Bimbo's stomach twisted. She had run away to be free, but this didn't sound like freedom at all. It sounded like trouble. I don't know, Soji. This sounds dangerous. Soji replied, I won't do it if there were any other way. But just a few jobs, and we'll have enough to get by, I promise. Bimbo was scared, but she trusted Soji. He had always taken care of her. Okay, she said, hoping it would all be over soon. At first, things seemed to get better. Soji's smuggling jobs brought in more money, and they moved into a nicer apartment. Bimbo thought that maybe everything would be okay after all. But then, one night, Soji didn't come home. Bimbo waited and waited, her heart thumping in her chest. Hours passed, and she tried calling his phone, but he didn't answer. By midnight, she was pacing the room, and her mind was spinning with worry. Just after 2 a.m., there was a loud knock on the door. Bimbo rushed to open it, hoping to see Soji, but it wasn't him. Instead, 2 men stood in the doorway. They looked rough and dangerous, and their faces were cold. Where is Soji? Bimbo asked, in a very shaky voice. The taller of the 2 men stepped forward. He is not coming back. What do you mean? Where is he? Bimbo asked. He's gone, the man replied, handing her a small envelope. Soji owes us money. Now his debt is your problem. Bimbo's hands shook as she opened the envelope. Inside was a note with a number across it. 5 million naira. You have 2 weeks to pay us back, the man said. If you don't, you will end up like him. Bimbo's heart sank as the men left. 5 million naira. There was no way she could get that kind of money. She felt like her world was crashing down. For the next 2 weeks, Bimbo was filled with fear. She didn't have anyone to turn to. She couldn't call her family. They would never forgive her for running away. She sold everything she and Soji had, but it wasn't enough. She felt trapped, alone, and terrified. Finally, the day came when the men were supposed to return for the money. As the sun began to set, Bimbo heard a knock on the door again. She braced herself, expecting to see the 2 men ready to take her away. But when she opened the door, he wasn't the man. Instead, an older woman stood there holding a small box. Bimbo? The woman asked kindly. Bimbo nodded, confused. Who are you? I am Soji's mother, the woman said. He asked me to give you this. Bimbo's breath stopped in that moment. Soji's mother? The woman nodded and handed the box to her. Soji didn't make it, but before he was gone, he wanted you to have this. Bimbo opened the box with trembling hands. Inside the box was a simple gold ring and a note from Soji. I am sorry, Bimbo. I thought I could protect you, but I was wrong. This life wasn't meant for either of us. Please go back home. They will forgive you. Bimbo's heart broke as she read the note. Tears filled her eyes. She had run away to be free, but all she had found was trouble and danger. Soji was gone. Now she had nothing left but his final words. Bimbo knew what she had to do. She had to go back home. It won't be easy, but maybe, just maybe, her family would forgive her. And even if they didn't, she would try to rebuild her life, free from the mistakes of the past. I hope you have enjoyed this story and learned one or two things. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.